And now, Maine Web News.
Fascism has been described as a marriage between big corporations and the government. When big businesses buy up the government and politicians serve them instead of the people, you have a fascist country. Today we'll examine whether or not Olympia, Snowe, and Susan Collins have been supporting a move towards fascism. Most Americans were opposed to giving $700 billion in tax money to the so-called too-big-to-fail banks in order to cover them for what many people felt were their greedy and reckless behavior that put them in jeopardy in the first place. Maine Senators Olympia Snowe and Susan Collins voted for the banks to receive the $700 billion in taxpayer money. To put that in its proper context, they could have taken that same pile of money and handed out to the American people to the tune of $20,000 per person. Imagine what a nice stimulus that would have been. Instead, we have just learned that much of the bailout money went to foreign banks, large corporations, and other cronies of the private Federal Reserve. The biggest beneficiaries of the $700 billion tax-funded bailout were Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, Verizon, General Electric. Most of these companies are now making record profits, having their best years ever and giving fat holiday bonuses. So besides the banks, who else made out from the bailouts? Maine Senators Olympia Snowe and Susan Collins. Remember the list of recipients of banks and corporations that received the lion's share of your tax dollars? Well, Verizon has donated $20,000 to Olympia Snowe and $28,000 to Susan Collins. Bank of America, $14,000 to Olympia Snowe, $10,000 to Susan Collins. Goldman Sachs, $13,000 to Olympia Snowe, $23,000 to Susan Collins. Pacific Mutual Holding, $13,000 to Olympia Snowe. Morgan Stanley, $23,000 to Susan Collins. Citigroup, $13,000 to Susan Collins. Do you think the American Bankers Association appreciates the hard work of our Maine senators? You bet they do. $10,000 to Olympia Snowe, $10,000 to Susan Collins. This story really began in 1999 when both Olympia Snowe and Susan Collins supported the repeal of the Glass-Steagall Act. The Glass-Steagall Act kept commercial banks and investment banks separate. Repealing Glass-Steagall allowed the banks to behave in such a reckless manner that they needed to come to the taxpayers for a handout in the first place. So after allowing the Federal Reserve to hand out trillions of dollars in bailout candy to their cronies all over the world, you would think that perhaps Olympia Snowe and Susan Collins would see fit to spend a few $billion extending unemployment benefits through the holidays, right? No, actually, you would be wrong. And don't misunderstand me. If I felt that Congress was really trying to rein in the money, I'd be leery about extending those unemployment benefits as well if we really couldn't afford it. But the bottom line is this: a few days after they voted to not extend the unemployment benefits, we find out that the money Olympia Snowe and Susan Collins and others voted to give the International Monetary Fund is going to be used as another bailout. Now they're going to go and bail out the European Union. More money for foreign banks. Where do the American people rate in all of this? On the cutting room floor, ladies and gentlemen. We'll end this story with some wise words from Benjamin Franklin. When the people find that they can vote themselves money, that will herald the end of the Republic. Words of wisdom indeed. This is Jared LeBlanc following the money trail on Maine Web News.